Hello and welcome to Mrs. Madson's lesson on rules of divisibility. So I'm going to do a little magic trick with you, and I'm going to tell you that this actual answer will have a remainder. How do I know that? How do I know that it won't go in evenly? Well, that's what we're going to get to. So, what are the rules of divisibility, and how did that help me know that it would not have a remainder? Well, a number is divisible by another number if it can go into it with no remainders. So, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. So, we can say that 12 is divisible by 2 because you can go 12 divided by 2 and you get 6. It goes in evenly. Now, we can also say that 13 is not divisible by 2 because when you do 13 divided by 2, you end up with a remainder. It's 6 remainder 1, or it's 6.5, or 6.5. So it does not go in evenly. So 13 is not divisible by 2. But 12 is divisible by 2. Okay, another way you can look is you can use a calculator. If I want to know if 7,854 is divisible by 13, I can plug it into my calculator and I end up with a really yucky answer with a lot of numbers behind the decimal, which means that there's a remainder. So when I plug it into my calculator like this, I end up with this number, a big long number with lots of numbers behind the whole number. So it is not divisible by 13. So by the end of today, you're going to be able to tell me if a number is divisible by 2, 3, 5, or 10. And we are going to figure out together how we know if they are divisible by that number. We're going to figure out, math is all about patterns and rules. Today you're going to be able to use patterns to figure out what the rules of divisibility are. Let me show you what I mean. All of the yellow numbers are divisible by 2, meaning they can divide by 2 without a remainder, right? If we take 20, oops, let me use a different pen. 20 divided by 2 is 10. It goes in evenly. That is why 20 is highlighted yellow, because it's divisible by 2. So what I want us to figure out is what do all of these numbers have in common? Why are all of the yellow numbers highlighted? And why does that mean that they're divided by 2? If you look at it, you have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. We definitely see like there's a line of yellow, a line of yellow, a line of yellow, right? There's a line going down. So we could notice and be like, well, if it ends in a 2, like all of those, then we know it's divisible by 2. If it ends in a 4, then it's divisible by 2. If it ends in a 6, it's divisible by 2. Or if it ends in an 8, or if it ends in a 0, we know that it is divisible by 2. So we could say that every number that is divisible by 2 is an even number. Or we could say that they all end in either a 2, 4, 6, 8, or 0. So the rule of divisibility for 2 is that the number is even, or you could also say the number ends in a 2, 4, 6, 8, or 0. Okay, so meaning if I have the number 2,342, oh, hello, that was not good. Let me rewrite that. If I have the number 2,342 and I divide it by 2, is it going to come out evenly? The answer is yes, because it ends in an even number. It ends in either 2 or 4 or 6 or 8 or 10. In this case, it ends in 2. So all numbers that are even, you can divide by 2. All right, here are all the numbers that are divisible by 3. These are all multiples of 3. What do they have in common? Again, there's a nice pattern, right? You can instantly see, oh, cool, look, there's this like diagonal thing going on. Okay, but if you have 2,432, we don't know where that is on the number line, right? So there's got to be some other trick. What else do all of these numbers have in common? I would love it if you figured it out. Still thinking? Do you want me to tell you? I'll tell you. So here's the trick with multiples of 3. If you add up the digits, here's what I mean by that. This is 12. If you add up 1 plus 2, you're going to get 3. If you add up 1 plus 5, like we have 15 here, right? So let's add up the 1 and the 5, we get 6. If you add up 1 plus 8, we get 9. What you're going to notice is if you add up all the digits, you end up with a sum that's either 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, or 18. You end up with something that is a multiple of 3. So if we have 2,342, if we add up the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 2, we get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We get 11. 11 is not a multiple of 3. So this number will not be able to be divided by 3. And we can put that into our calculator. 2,400 and 2,342, we can divide that by 3. And you're right, look, we have a yucky remainder right there. Okay, so it is not divisible by 3. Now, if we have a number like 3,069, is that divisible by 3? The answer is yes. How do I know? If I go 3 plus 0 plus 6 plus 9, I get 18. And 18 is a multiple of 3. So I can type in 3,069. Can you see it? 3,069 divided by 3. And guess what? It goes in evenly. There is no remainder. There's no decimal. So add up all the digits and you will see if that number is divisible by 3. So cool, huh? All right, here are all the numbers that are divisible by 5. We have this column and we have this column. What do they all have in common? Well, they all either end in a 5 or they end in a 0. So we can take a number like 2,342 and we can say, no, it is not divisible by 5. It doesn't end in a 5 or a 0. So it's not going to work out. It's going to have a remainder. So the trick with 5s is every multiple of 5 ends in a 5 or a 0. Okay? Here's the last one, 10s. All the multiples of 10 are colored. What do we know? We know a number is divisible by 10 if it ends in a 0. Every multiple of 10 ends in a 0. So our 2,432 or whatever, if we divide it by 10, it's going to have a remainder. It's not going to be pretty because it doesn't end in 10. But if we have 2,340, that one will be divisible by 10 because it ends in a 0, and all multiples of 10 end in a 0. Cool, huh? All right, let's do some practice. So 792 is divisible by 2 because it ends in an even number. 4,344 also is divisible by 2 because it ends in an even number. 98 is divisible by 2. It ends in an even number. So is this big number. It's divisible by 2. It ends in an even number. This one is not divisible by 2. It ends in a 7. 7 is not even. It will not go in evenly. All right, what about 3? Are these numbers divisible by 3? Remember, the trick is to add it all up. If we go 7 plus 9 plus 2, that gives us 18. And 18 is a multiple of 3. So yes, it will be divisible by 3. What about this? Is it divisible by 3? Let's see. Let's go 4 plus 3 plus 4 plus 4 is 4. 8, 12, 16, 17, it's 18. Is 18 divisible by 3? Yeah, we can do 18 divided by 3. So yes, that is divisible by 3. What about 98? 9 plus 8 equals 17. 17 is not divisible by 3. Oh, this is a big one. Excuse me. Let's go 3 plus 0 plus 8 plus 0 plus 0 plus 1 plus 6 plus 0. 3 plus 8 is 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That was also 18. So is that one divisible by 3? Yes, it's divisible by 3. Oh, we're going to add up all these numbers and we will see if this number is divisible by 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 plus 7, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 24. Is 24 divisible by 3? Yes, it is. All right, let's go on to 5s. Are these numbers divisible by 5? Remember, we're looking to see if they end in a 5 or a 0. That does not end in a 5. That's why we wrote no. That is not a 5. That is not a 5 or a 0. That is not a 5, but it is a 0. So we can divide it by 5. This one is not a 5 or a 0. We're going to say no. And finally, 10. We'll know if it's divisible by 10 if it ends in a 0. That does not end in 0, nor does that, nor does that. That one does, though. So we have a no, no, a yes, and that also does not end in a 0. So that will not be divisible by 0. All right, so if we go back to this, at the beginning of the lesson, I was like, guess what? This will go evenly into 3. And you're like, what? How does she know that? You can look at that and be like, oh, I know what Mrs. Madsen did. She did 3 plus 0 plus 5 plus 4, and she got 12. 12 is divisible by 3. That's how she knew it so quickly. That's how she knew that it would go in evenly. And you might be like, really? Does that really work? Well, let's put it in our calculator. Divide it by 3, and guess what? It goes in evenly. Shocker. Miss Madsen is so smart. You guys now are too. Practice these, and it's going to be so useful this year. This is not a lesson that's in Go Math, but it's a lesson that I feel is super important. Will make math way easier this year. So make sure you master it. Good luck, friends. See you later.